I would just like to let you know that this isn't the type of story they'll play in my memory at my funeral. It's not meant to shed an immense amount of positivity. At least, not at the moment. This version scared me because of its sharp teeth and accusatory tones. Though I wrote these words of my own free will, I was never really given much of a choice in the matter. And so, I don't expect you to give a damn about this version of events, since it's not wrapped in a pretty bow. However, what I do expect is for you to learn something. About what? I couldn't care less. But something. Always something. As soon as she was born, she was a flame burning brighter than the sun. Funny enough, she was the daughter of the tide, and her mother was the ocean, and her father, crystallized cave. That would pose an issue in raising her. As she got older, and her parents split, that's when all the questions started. Getting older, those questions turned into doubts. Doubts about herself, about who she was, and slowly, her light began to dim. Going to school was very suffocating for her. School was just an all-consuming void of chaos. And foolishly, she thought she had her flames under control, dimming and putting out her fire every time she needed to. When her friends had problems, she was there. There to listen, there to laugh, there to help. No flame, no light, just a helping hand, a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on. This, however, posed an issue, as she was now perceived as the disposable friend, the one who you come to when you need something, when you need to talk, to vent, to laugh, the one who never needed anything, and when she did, she was a burden. Being a Yamoja and a Thalassa meant that she was constantly wanted to be a force like her mother, or still in focus like her brother. But considering she was a flame, she had to burn constantly. When she was nothing bigger than a candle flame, she began to believe she wasn't worth as much as others, in spite of everything that was done for her and with her. Realizing she wasn't going to get to the level in time, or at least in the time she wanted, she gave up, then choosing to create a world where her failures were what she was known for, feeling as if a slow truth was a fate worse than a fast lie. This began to create friction with her and others, and in not allowing herself to work and grow and be great in her own time, she created drama within herself, becoming a walking contradiction, telling others she was so smart, feeling like the dumbest person on the planet, trying to maintain a facade of, oh, I'm the best, I'm so smart, I just choose not to show it. And whether she was or wasn't, it became evident to herself and others that not trying was now her thing. And she confused herself this way. In so many ways, that made her upset and angry. She did, however, find other ways to cope. Ways that she chose to keep secret from the people who were there to care. Because she couldn't tell whether or not what she was feeling was real, or she just made it all up. Ways that revolved around finding any way to make her feel something real. A form of protection she'd created to shield herself from threats and attempts on her sanity, many caused by herself. Ways that would haunt any normal kid into fleeing from her if they found out. So she suppressed her feelings. Some of betrayal, some of ignorance, from the people who were supposedly there to care and notice. And instead, tried to ignore the fact that she herself, at the time, was slowly turning into someone she didn't want to be. She also learned to retreat into her dreams. She runs down the street away from everyone, away from herself, a place where she embodied the quiet, kind, and genuine person that she wanted to be. Away, away, away. But she always wakes up, because it's always just that. A dream. My bridge is made of stars. I've always been a floater, constantly having an inclination toward different aspects of existence. I was never a person who could fully understand. My friends varied from little boys who made houses with blocks to little girls who played with dolls. I even got along with adults, telling them about my day, what I'd learned in school, or how one kid in my class was annoying and didn't have any manners. Like, ever. My interests were never set in stone either. From reading books on mythology and philosophy to using the pen I annotated with to write my first book series about a group of crystals in human form coming to save the planet from negative energy. Or singing and dancing in my second grade talent show to a 2XO song. To taking acting classes, I've always just naturally tended to nurture my motivation in anything I'm called to pursue. That's how I know I'm destined to be rooted in genuine fluidity of anything I may be called to do. This is why maintaining and accepting my youthful approach to things is something that I need to be constantly healing and expanding upon. I'm learning to treat myself with adoration just as much as I do critique. To understand that there is a time to float and a time to ground. Creating a space for myself to be myself, and using that space to give myself direction is going to be necessary in getting across my bridge. It can provide comfort for that little girl inside me. I've always been stubborn in allowing myself to accept that love isn't always just letting myself be wild and free, like a bonfire on a beach. It's also implementing a certain amount of self-discipline, even in things I don't ever want to do. One of the most powerful ways to show a child love is by giving them a firm hand. To my surprise, every time I tell my inner child no to something, knowing it's for her own good, it ends up soothing her in a way that surprises me every time. It's as if I wrapped her in a blanket of security when she's playing too much, and even though she protests, she ends up rested because it's soothing her focus. Moving into a season of fulfillment, to me, means teleporting myself into a reality where I choose how to go about growing into my passions, and encouraging myself to nurture a mindset that my passions are fun, like games. I can monitor them how I would a journal and go at it, like an animal after its prey. Calling. Many philosophers have made great scholarly connections between calling and many things. Aristotle connected it to ethics and virtue, allowing oneself to live a life that flourishes. Sigmund Freud's focus was on the instinctual human behavior based on our desires. We want to search for balance in life. Some existentialists define calling as having no definition, and therefore being up to interpretation. In my case, I've never been the type of person who liked to label myself or my interests. In the past, whenever I've tried, not too many have stuck with me. Only the very distinct and detailed made the cut. However, I haven't until recently given my future the same courtesy. I wanted to be like everyone else and know what I wanted to do. And I've had some things I wanted to do. But that was the issue. I wanted to do some things. Meanwhile, others wanted to do something. It took me a while to understand that the two did not have to be mutually exclusive. And to a certain extent, they weren't. I've always loved performing and performance. It's always been my thing. How I went about it, that's what I thought I had to choose between. If I chose to pursue my calling toward acting, chose to write and perform such profound stories that provoke the next movement, create ways for a camera lens to portray insightful imagery, I would be fulfilled. But what about my calling toward music and singing? Choosing to belt euphonious harmonies into a microphone for an audience of whoever is meant to hear it. Burning a CD so that I can hold my music. What about being an activist, huh? What about being the change that is needed in a world where it feels like with every move I make, it spins in a new direction? In no way I could give up being a writer. How could I give up using my ability to conjure up ideas that capture and illuminate stories in books and poems and scripts that no one has heard yet? I just couldn't. I could never give up any of those things. The way I feel about anything I'm called to do is so alluring. It makes it so that the only way I can be fulfilled in pursuing it is by proclaiming the fact that when I participate in it, I feel like the sun. A star burning an ethereal light on all the flowers of the world until they bloom into something bigger and more beautiful. I've always been called to do things. Every time I listened, a part of me was completed. I have no idea who the call is coming from or why, and hopefully one day I'll be able to see the color. What I do know is that whenever I make the conscious decision to pick up the phone, I'm always bestowed with information that adds value to my life. And so, it has become more evident why my bridge is made of stars. My love for anything I am called to do transcends its physical nature. It goes beyond the five senses and evolves into something all-consuming in a way the tides right over the beach sand. That becomes my own. And I choose to do it with a motivation only I can feel for it.